Organize Me Radio, episode 94, Ophelia, Let's Get Organized. I'm Naeemah Ford Goldson. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Organize Me Radio. I am Naeemah Ford Goldson, and today's guest is a certified professional organizer, and she is the author of Ophelia, Let's Get Organized. Please welcome Vickie Dellaquila. Welcome, Vickie.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited to talk to you about your book, Ophelia, Let's Get Organized, because I too have a children's book about organizing. And I know I wrote it because there weren't a lot of children's books about organizing. There still aren't a lot of children's books about
No, there is
organizing.
not. No,
But
there is not.
yeah, but so I'm really excited to learn about, why you decided to write this book and what was your inspiration?
Well, for me, same thing. There isn't a lot of books about organizing for children. Your book is adorable. It's so cute, your little tidy Tessa. But,
Thank you.
there aren't also many written by professional organizers. There are some out there, but they're not written by professional organizers. And who better to write a book about professional organizers? So I just thought, there's room for more always. So I think it really helps children and parents.
So, can you share a bit about the story? Tell us about Ophelia.
Sure. Well, this is her. This is Ophelia. And she came to be in 2015. I was born in El Paso, even though I didn't really live there, but I visited a lot because my grandparents lived there and my mom. And I have wonderful, fond memories of my grandmother, Ophelia. And so I was coming back from El Paso to Pittsburgh, where I live, and I thought I should really think of something for my business that's just a little unique, a little mascot or something. So I started thinking about my grandmother, Ophelia, and she was a wonderful, fun person. And I thought, why don't I make like a little doll that kind of represents her, but also the organizing industry? So I came up with Ophelia. She had these little cat eye kind of glasses. So I came up with the idea of Ophelia. So I had the doll for a while, and then I thought I should really write a little story about her. So her story is about a little girl and her brother, and she lives with her dad. And I really wanted that to be important because families come in all different sizes, colors, religions, sizes, mom, dad, two dads, two moms, divorce, whatever. And she lives with her dad, but her dad, we don't know if he's divorced, if he has a partner, if he has a wife. We don't know. But I wanted to make that clear. I was raised by my dad. My parents were divorced. And there aren't many stories. They're starting to see some that isn't just mom, dad, and two kids and a dog. You're starting to see some in the children's world, but there's not a ton of them. So I thought that was really important to represent that. So Ophelia comes to help a little girl, Lucy, who has problems keeping her room in order, has problems with getting to places on time. She's late for her soccer game. So Ophelia shows up to help her in her room and to help her get organized and to help her support it. She's reminded that Ophelia's there, help her, gives her little fun things to do we call it tiny tasks by tiny tasks. It just takes a little bit of time to do this. And she's there to help her, but she also can do it herself.
So, what makes your book relatable for kids?
I think for kids, some of the phrases, again, like, let's just do one tiny task at a time. And in the book, I have a little tiny task list. Okay, so I'm going to put my shirt away in my drawer. So first, I'm going to pick up the shirt. Then I'm going to fold the shirt. Then I'm going to put it in the drawer, just one tiny task after another. And in the book, actually, Ophelia, she helps Lucy, but Lucy gets very sad. She said, I can't keep this organized. I don't know how to keep it that way. How am I ever going to do it? And what she does is she leaves Lucy a little mini Ophelia. So to remind her, I'm always here to help you, but I know you can do it on your own. Because I think that's the biggest thing. You can do this on your own. It's important for kids to know that about themselves.
I love that because I feel like as certified professional organizers, we come across a lot of adults who maybe weren't taught how to organize,
Yes.
right? And they become adults and then it's like, "Oh no, what do I do with this stuff? Where do I start? How do I
Exactly.
begin?" So, teaching kids, when they are young, how to do
Mhm.
it, I feel like, and this is just my opinion, that we'll have more people who understand how to organize a little bit better as they go, become, high schoolers and then go to college and become adults and then have families of their own.
Yeah, I agree 100% because I'm sure, you've run into the same adult who wasn't taught. And I run into so many of them and they feel terrible about themselves. And I'm like, but no one taught you. It's okay. It's okay. That's why we're here now to help you to start to learn the skills to help you, move along to be able to start organizing and of course maintaining, which is the hardest for most people, I believe, as I'm sure you probably have run into too. So yeah, but yeah, you have to really teach it as a child. I've seen it with I have three grown daughters, and I remember one of them in college had a child, one of the children, that a young woman who she was with in the dorm. She had never learned how to make her bed, never learned how to do dishes because she had help, and she didn't know how to do these things. And she was amazed, like, can you teach me how to do my laundry? So they taught her how to do things,
Yeah.
but she was never taught just life skills. And then, of
Right.
course, her room was not organized either. So it's important to teach them when they're little.
Yeah. So then what are the key lessons you would like for children to learn from this book?
I think you can do it. You can ask for help because I think, you tell your child, go clean your room. And then they're just like, I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to start.
Yeah.
But by helping them and starting to show them those skills of, okay, here's this pile of clothes, we need to figure out where they go. Do they go in the laundry? Does some of these things don't fit you anymore, whatever it is. But helping them with the little tiny tasks by tiny tasks that they can do this, but they need the help, and that they need to work on it a little bit each day to start to incorporate the habits to stay organized.
I think that's great. I was in Nebraska recently. I live in Atlanta. My family
Mm-hmm.
lives in Nebraska. I moved my mom from Nebraska to Atlanta recently, like just this past
Ah,
weekend.
oh boy.
so, so,
Wow.
but some of my nephews have issues keeping their rooms cleaned, and they're like in the age of between 6 and 12,
Mm-hmm.
and I try to explain to them, like, all you have to do is, take one step at a time, this, and that.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also tell my sisters, it's like, you have to show them until they understand, until they get it. So I think I might have to share your book with my sisters so that they can understand a little bit more how to show their kids how to keep things clean and organized, because I've noticed that a lot when it comes to children and just being overwhelmed by trying to clean their rooms, because
Oh,
like you said, they'll go in there and they will have no idea where to
yeah.
start.
No, it's too overwhelming for them. So they need help. They have,
Right.
to learn those skills. And what better person than their parents or a professional organizer to help learn the skills? And if they're
So
impacted by like ADHD, even something like that, to really like, okay, we're going to go about this maybe a little differently to help them with that.
yeah. And I think that's important too, that people take that into account. Different, like, maybe learning challenges that children might have, just because it was easy for you to maybe learn as a child doesn't mean it'll be easy for your child to
That's
learn. Your
right.
child might not grasp the
Mm-hmm.
concept as easily. So
That's
I think,
exactly right.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody's different. Everybody's different. So, yeah, definitely.
So, do you think this is a good learning tool for families to start organizing and organize as a family, or get the conversation started about organizing?
Absolutely. Because, so many times in a family, there might be, if there's two parents, one might be organized and the other may not be, as I'm sure you've run into. And then, same thing with the kids. It might be like three kids are organized and then there's that child, And I think if they can work together as a family, starting to incorporate, Okay, we're going to pick up toys. I mean, the toy room is probably the biggest thing for a lot of parents with younger children, but also not just that, but like homework. When you come home from school, your backpack just isn't going to be flung, on the floor. We need to, maybe we incorporate that you just empty it first for the papers that need signed by the paper or the parent. And maybe the homework's there, but now we're going to have a snack and we're going to talk or whatever it is. And then we're going to have a homework time. But we're going to start incorporating these habits, and mom and or dad or two dads or whoever it is, also them too, when they come home from work, instead of flinging their stuff on the floor, where does your stuff go? So just to show your kids, yeah, I can do this too.
So tell me about your process for actually writing the book. What was your process for writing a book geared towards children?
It was hard, as I'm sure in writing your book too, to like, oh boy, let me think. I had, I don't know how many rewrites, a lot, a lot. But coming up with her, trying to figure out how she was going to help a child, and I knew I wanted that family that wasn't your typical family to begin with. And my daughter is an elementary school teacher. And so I did ask her for some advice on how to write to children, age groups. And, I remember her saying, you cannot make this book too long, or the parent will not want to read it to begin with. That's one thing. And the kid too, it's just too much. They don't want to read too long. Not that they don't want to read, but you know what I mean, for a shorter book.
Oh, yeah.
And so that was part of it for me. And just trying to come up with that storyline. What would a kid like? What do I think they would enjoy? And that's why I came up with Mini Ophelia, because I thought they would like it. She rides a scooter, her little scooter. She has a little helmet on. So I thought, yeah, I think they'd like that. They can, relate to it.
Oh, that's so fun. So tell me about you. Before we started recording, you told me about how Ophelia was made, how the doll was made and everything. And tell me about working with the illustrator because the doll came first.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I drew the doll. I'm not the best artist, but I drew what I knew what I wanted her to look like. And I had this wonderful client who was a very talented artist and was sewing, very talented. So I asked her about it and she said, okay, yeah, I can do that. And so she made her based on what I wanted. I wanted her to have these little blue jeans on. I wanted her to have an apron, wanted little polka dots, and I wanted to incorporate red. So she came up with her. She hand embroidered her eyes and everything. So, and she did a beautiful job. I mean, a gorgeous job, I thought. And so she's been around for quite a while before the book came to be. And then the illustrator, actually, I found her through one of our local children books groups. And I told her really exactly what I wanted. And she just did that. Only thing is, a couple things don't always work out. Like I wanted the skin tone of the children, one to be darker than the other child. And she just had trouble doing that. So it's okay. But, I did want that just to incorporate everybody looks different in this family. So,
Gotcha.
but
Okay.
that was a process for sure.
So, how do you think that early lessons impact children as they grow older? Early lessons in organizing.
Oh, very much so. As we said, the kids who don't know how to do anything, I'll even use my own family. My parents were disorganized. I have brothers who are identical twins. They're a year and a half younger than me. And, they weren't that organized either. My sister was okay. She's older than me, but, I was always that organized kid. A lot of kids are like that. And I moved a lot too. And I was always like, can I unpack the boxes as we moved? And my dad used to say like, nah, just leave them to next time. That kind of thing. Really? But I think for me, I think about just even myself that I was able to do that living in like a chaotic environment. So the kid who grows up with that chaos of stuff around them, it affects everything in their life. So if they don't learn anything about organizing, it impacts so much of their life in the negative way, I believe. But if they start to learn some of the tasks of just, I'm going to put my toys away or pick up my clothes, make my bed, get my homework done certain times, it just really makes it life much easier for them.
Have you received any feedback from parents, educators, children on how this book has impacted their lives?
Yes, children again, like I said, they love the little scooter and that she has a mini Ophelia, and she says things like organizing is neato, and that's the way to go, which is kind of old school, but they do like that. But parents really like, and the kids do too, the Tiny Task by Tiny Task. She actually has in the book, in the back of the book, there's actually a little tiny task list that you can write out in the back of the book. And so parents, they can do that. And they're like, yeah, this could help a child to start to figure out, okay, we're going to start writing this down, if they can, or we're just going to start doing it, either way. But that they really do like, the teachers and parents, definitely.
So, what advice would you give to parents for helping their children stay organized at home?
Yeah, the staying organized, as you know, is the hardest part. Anybody can get organized, but staying that way, it's not a magazine shoot where it's going to be perfect. It's not going to be that way. I think it's just incorporating those little teeny bits every day, like the homework time, like the backpack goes this place in the house. The toys, they go here. Everything needs a place to live in this home. And, doing that. And also then, oh, I've got soccer after school. What do you need for your soccer? So where are the soccer things? Okay, we're going to leave at 4 o'clock. And if the child has a concept of time, then getting them to look at their clock. I tell you, I really love time timers. I think they work great for anybody. You don't have to have, ADHD or anything, but I think time timers are wonderful for adults and children that I think that can really incorporate in their life. People who have trouble with it, especially children, they can't tell time or they don't have a concept of time. The time timer, as you know, can show, oh, I've got this slice of red to finish up before I have to leave. And then ding, you're done. So yeah.
That's great. So then, do you think that storytelling, like in Ophelia, can make organizing less overwhelming for children and maybe for their parents as well?
Yeah, actually, I have to tell you, adults have seen my book. They said, I think I might need this book. And, they're an adult, but they're not, they're a disorganized person. So they're like, tiny task list can help me. But yeah, I think that's part of it with any, like your book too, any of them, just a little teeny bit at a time is going to help the child, is going to help the adult. Instead of here you go, you're going to do this whole room or this whole bookcase even, which is just too much for people to do. They can't do it. And so I think just that tiny little step is the biggest plus for most people and children.
So, do you have any plans for a sequel or any additional tools that go with the book?
I've definitely thought about it, and you've written a children's book, so it's a lot of your life
Oh, yeah.
that I haven't yet, but I may in the future. I may incorporate more, especially with specialized type of things like ADHD, things like that that could affect children, anything like that, but especially ADHD, I think.
Okay. Okay. I think that'd be great. So hopefully you
Mhm.
do that because
Yeah.
I feel like so many children are affected by ADHD,
Yeah.
autism, so
Yes.
many different things. And I think that's something that is needed out there because
Yes.
you don't have anything like that. Not that I
No, there
know of.
really isn't. I mean, there's a lot about it for adults,
Right.
but or the parent about their child, but not for the child themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Okay. All right. I loved learning about your book. This was so fun. Like I said, I'm gonna purchase some for my nephews for and their moms for Christmas. But some of the things that I love to ask everyone who comes on Organize Me Radio, I have a couple questions.
Mhm.
What is your favorite organizing product and or productivity tool?
Two, the time timer. I absolutely love the time timer. I use it myself. I mean, I don't know. I mean, most clients I've used it with, and they're like, oh, what a cool tool. It's better than a timer on your phone because you can see the passage of time, which makes a big difference, especially if you have trouble with time. And going very old school, I love black Sharpies and a sticky that is fluorescent in color so you can see it because people can't see it. Just like, okay, here's your to-do list of 4 things to do. I'm putting it right on the wall, and it works because they have to are on the door before they leave. This is what I need to do. I mean, it's very old school, but it works really well for people.
Hey, if it's not broke, don't fix it, right? Like if it works.
Right. That's exactly right.
Wonderful. Okay, I love those. So, my second question is, what's your greatest professional achievement?
I think for me, I'm an ICD master trainer. It took a long time to get there, and I'm really proud of that. But also, I think professionally too is my clients. The greatest joy for me is watching them move forward in their lives. And that might just be clearing half a desk. And somebody might look at that, that's not very much work, but it is for that particular person. So making forward movement in their life to me is professionally, I love to see that. I love to see that.
Vickie, thank you so much for taking the time to tell us a little bit more about your book and helping kids become organized. Can you tell everyone how they can find out more information about you?
Sure. They can go to organization.com. Also, her book is available on Amazon and on my website. And I have Facebook and Instagram handles too, Organization Rules, and Ophelia the Organizer is also the other at Ophelia the Organizer for both of those other two social media.
Vickie, thank you so much for joining us.
Okay, well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you all for joining us. Be sure to tune in next time for an all new episode.